Call to order the Prairie Hill Community Consolidated School District number 133 in Winnebago County regular meeting. Today is September 24th, 2025, and it is 5:30 p.m.
Can I get a roll call? Mrs. Allenbacher.
Here.
Mrs. Ashai.
Here.
Mrs. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Schuckman. Here. Mrs. Finnegan.
Here.
Mr. Keller.
Here.
And Mr. Lewis. Here.
Awesome. Go forward. Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody. And a quorum is present. Thank you. You can say it too.
The set a statement by the president. That is not me,
Oh, it does.
nor do I want
Sorry.
to be.
Okay. All right, today I think we're going to start with the Pride of Prairie Hill.
Yes. So tonight we have some new teachers present. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Craig, Jackie, do you want to give a little synopsis about who's joining us this year?
So we added some positions at Prairie Hill moving into 25-26, and I have a new fourth grade teacher, a new third grade teacher, and a new first grade teacher. So very excited to introduce, we'll start in first grade. Paige, soon to be really Mrs. Robinson, very excited. Welcome, Paige. Come on up, Paige. Welcome to Prairie Hill. Paige was actually a student of mine when I was a teacher at CVMAC. So welcome. Thank you for joining me back over here.
Thank you.
In third grade, I have Miss Allie Bowers. Come on up. Allie comes from Rockton, Harlem, and now back to Prairie Hill. Thank you. And last but not least here today, I have Mrs. Dominic. Welcome, Mrs. Dominic, in fourth grade. She's joining us from Shirley. So, welcome, and thank you all for coming. Very excited to have you. We also have at Prairie Hill, we have a new speech language pathologist, Hannah Lamarca, could not be here tonight. Another new fourth grade teacher, Miss Lori Dixon. And I think that was it for me. So we'll make sure we get that. Welcome. Oh, hold on.
Oh. Perfect timing.
I just passed it. And our new speech language pathologist. Welcome to Prairie Hill. There you go. It was perfect timing.
Sorry, I'm taking minutes. What was her last?
All right, so for Willowbrook, we have two new teachers this year that are joining us. Here tonight, we have Tyler Zimmerman, who is our PE and health teacher. Tyler went and graduated from lacrosse, so he is joining us fresh out of school. I had the pleasure actually back. So he interviewed when we did the round in spring, and I think they've gifted him really nice fall weather because they've been able to be outside with him. So welcome. Thank you for being here. And then we also have Brad Brown, who wasn't able to make it tonight. He is the science teacher for 8th and 7th grade. He worked a couple of years previously as a teacher in Harlem Middle School and came back here as well. He's part-time teacher. So welcome to both.
You guys keep coming.
So you can stay or you can go, but before you stay or go, let's get a picture here real quick in front of the back.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I sign them all or did I miss them?
Did I miss you this time?
Okay, I had a feeling I heard that.
Okay.
Straight into the.
Totally, 100%.
What it's all about.
There's another team.
Thank you. And Carrie, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
All right, next is the reception of communications and audience of visitors. Two speakers tonight, Phil and Christine. Okay, would you like to go ahead and speak?
You want me to sit here? Is that okay?
Whatever you like.
Okay, I'm Christine Randall, and we have two children who attend Willowbrook. A little bit about myself. I graduated from University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls with a double major in early childhood education, elementary education. I was a kindergarten teacher, and then I was a special education teacher in Iowa and Nebraska. I had a lot of experience putting schedules together, accommodating special needs students, basically making things work, meaning that the students always came first. And moving forward as a parent, I've always taken the approach to allow our kids to have as many opportunities as possible. I was always going to be the mom who exposed the kids to everything and then allow them to choose what they wanted to do. But I wanted it to be in an activity that was very important to me. And so far, our kids have rise to the occasion. So I think that they should do everything that they want to do at this age, not look back, and not at 80 years old think, gosh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. For these reasons, when it comes to academics here at Willowbrook, I think that all children should be allowed to play that sport. Volleyball in particular. Our daughter was cut this year from sports, having multiple years of playing the sport, and she was cut from 2 days of working on open gym, and then 1 day of tryouts. And there was no feedback from the coach on it until she decided that she would reach out. Mom, can I reach out to the coach and ask her why I couldn't make the team or why I didn't make the team? And we encouraged her to do that. That was her idea. Although in the back of my mind, the whole time I was thinking, gosh, I wonder what happened. I wonder why she didn't make the team. She was very disappointed in herself. And but I didn't nag her about it. It is what it is. So the volleyball season continues to move along. Each week I find myself asking myself whether the decision makers for this particular sport considered moving practice times to accommodate more players. I understood there was a lot of players this year. Would parent volunteers rise to the occasion and assist with coaching if practice time was held later in the day or the evening time? Could practices be held outside on nice weather days? We're fortunate to have those nice weather days now. And does posting who made the team need to be done on Facebook? Was another question I had. None of these questions were talked about with my daughter. These were all just questions that I had. And with the number of athletes that want to try volleyball, can cutting wait until high school? Does the coach reach out to whomever she chooses to cut personally and explain why the decisions to cut were made? I kind of knew the answer to that, but that's still one of my questions, one of my concerns. And I'm just unsure about why can't accommodations be made? Why can't schedules be created. I've created a ton of schedules over my 26 years of teaching. I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but we do what's best for kids. That is something that my principals, my superintendents that I had over the years stressed. We do what's best for kids. If this many kids want to play volleyball at middle school, then they should be playing. Let the cutting happen at the high school. And there has to be a way to make this work. I find myself awake at night thinking, gosh, what can I do to help this process for the coming years? So that's why I'm here tonight. I know that nothing will be changed this year. I know that we can't go back. But there's going to be basketball, there's going to be other sports that we have to consider. Let's not break the kids now at middle school. Let it be done later in life when they have the means to deal with it. I never visited with my daughter about these issues. I didn't think it was my place to get involved, to have her worry about it. I just supported what was done and told Allison that, you know, what happened, happened, and thank goodness you can be a manager this year. You can still be on the team that way. I think that all students at Willowbrook should be allowed to develop their skills and talents outside the classroom without potentially being cut. Accommodating students should always be the goal. Having more than one team has also come up in my mind more than once. And again, I think I'm here tonight because this still bothers me internally. I feel like I've spoke with the principal, I've spoken with the superintendent, now I'm here. And I just feel passionate about having all kids, even if they're special ed kids, be exposed to volleyball if they want to be. And I'm just talking about one sport because that's what affected our family. But I'm sure that basketball, you know, it has probably the same issues, maybe not, but you know, I just think that accommodating all students should be our final goal. I was never, as I said, I was never the parent who complained. And, you know, I thought, gosh, was my daughter cut? Because I never complained last year about whether or not she got to play or not. She did play as at Willowbrook last year as a 7th grader. I never, on the 8th grade team, I never complained to the coach when the coach sat her down. The only feedback I gave my daughter was, how can we be better next time? What do we need to work on? You're the expert. You tell me why aren't you playing? Tell me what you need to work on. And she would tell me, I need to do better at this. And I said, well, let's find a way to do that. We take all of the volleyball games that we get on our TV so she can watch college girls play, which is very important to her. She really likes volleyball, and I think that it was wonderful. She got to be the manager this year. So she's still a part of it, but she's not playing as much as she wants to be, but at least she's a part of it and she's happy with that. So I'm not upset with that part of it. But again, I've thought about this over weeks after weeks, and I keep coming back to my principals and my superintendents always said, figure it out, do what's best for the kids, figure it out. You got to figure it out. If it takes weekends to figure it out, you figure it out. But thank you for your time. Education's close to my heart as a former educator. I appreciate you dedicating your time, your talents, and your interests to the students in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bill?
so I'm Phil Ramsel. Similar story to my wife Christine, but you know, our request here is to look beyond maybe what practices are currently today. Okay, you know, just a little bit of my background. I grew up in Nebraska. Okay, went to college in the 90s and played college football. You know, during those years, I mean, more than just a few handfuls of guys that I played with or against national championship rings today. Okay. A few of them that were able to play in NFL training camps and so forth during this year. So I was able to experience athletics from a very good level. I was a student at Nebraska when they won their first volleyball national championship. My sister Casey went to Creighton University. My sisters are brilliant people. Casey today is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. Both of them are veterinarians. They played ball at a high level. One of their teams is in the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame. We got a lot from sports. And I can remember my sisters when they first started playing volleyball. Casey had the opportunity to play on Creighton's very first volleyball team, which she transferred to a different school and didn't do that. She played at a different school. But, here's the deal. I mean, we've been very successful. We had that competitive environment around us as kids. We were around other competitive kids. I've done research and so forth. I mean, you can get on Google Scholar. I could bring in a list or basically a stack of referee journal articles this team that highlight the importance of, having these opportunities for kids. My sisters first played volleyball. I mean, there wasn't enough seats hardly, for all the girls to sit on the bench, and they would have had 3 different teams. And eventually, they sorted things out. They found their interests and so forth. The girls that enjoyed playing, they continued to play and got very good at it. The others maybe found different interests as they grew up. I really think that we're limiting, some of these kids' opportunities as we move forward. I've attended one of our volleyball games. We've got a tremendous team this year. They're doing extremely well. The game that I attended and picked up my daughter was Harlem. They had 12 girls. They had 12 girls on that team. Harlem has 2 teams. Okay, so they have 2 teams. I would assume that both of them have 12 players on the team. Our team has 10. We have 10 players on our team. They played 3 sets. Our team won all 3 sets. And when they got to that 3rd set and the girls that hadn't played as much got in, they weren't very competitive. I can tell you, because I've watched these girls play. I've watched them play in summer leagues and so forth. Girls that, even though they didn't get onto the team this year, they would have been competitive in that 3rd set from this school. And they don't all have the opportunity to be on the team this year. And I think that needs to have a policy change in terms of this. When Allison tried out as a 6th grader, I asked to come in and to learn more. We were new to this area and so forth. My first email was to the volleyball coach and no reply. My second email was to Mrs. Thompson. I asked Mrs. Thompson, can I come in and visit? And we were new to the school. I want to understand what the policies and practices were like. I got pushed back to the volleyball coach. And so really no discussion happened. This year, I gave them 24 hours. I insisted on a meeting, wasn't getting anywhere in terms of, okay, well, hey, we can meet you on this day or that day. Insisted again and again and again. Finally, I got to meet. We got to meet with Mrs. Thompson, got to meet with the volleyball coach and the athletic director, and then finally Mr. Chisney. They were great in terms of sitting down and visiting with us. But I really felt like I had to stand on my head in terms of I want to meet, to get time to meet. And then in the process of this, we find out that, okay, hey, we have tryouts and stuff. We go in 10, so kids get playing time. So they don't have to deal with the parents. And I parents are stakeholders of the school and so forth. I think there's enough interest in these kids and so forth. I really believe that if the school said, hey, let's increase the exposure of what we're doing for school volleyball, I think the parents would help. And that's really kind of where my request is with the administration, with the schools and so forth. Our daughter's last year is this year, but looking forward in terms of kids' opportunities from here on out, I really think that this program could be bigger and to give more kids an opportunity to experience the competition and the sports and so forth as they go forward from 6th on to 8th grade. And if we don't believe it, there's other schools that will play us today. I beg to differ because I know that there are. We came from a smaller school district over in Illinois, over at Eastland, and I know that they're putting school programs together, parents and so forth, are putting volleyball and basketball, and they're looking for teams to play. So I don't think it would take us much looking in terms of finding places and times for these kids to play. And that's my request here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you both for speaking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got to put one thing to catch.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, this is that time we always say, you guys can leave us, we won't be offended. What am I looking at?
You're like verbatim over there.
I know, I couldn't find the next step because we had typed so much. Okay. Okay. Did I skip the, oh no, did I skip the principals? Have you guys done it yet?
We haven't gotten there.
So, all right, consent. You're not just that. All right, next I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. It would include approval of August regular meeting minutes, August committee meeting minutes, September bills equaling $91,047.73. September payroll, $251,580.02, and September treasurer's report and student activity funds.
Motion to approve. Second. Who seconded? I did.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Sorry. I'm the one that's supposed to be forgetting this stuff. Mr. Callender,
Abstain.
Mrs. Finnegan,
Approve.
Mr. Schuckman. Yeah. Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisscheid.
Yes.
And Mrs. Allenbacher.
Yes. All right, administrative report. Who's going first?
You want to go with my meeting? I'm harder.
Let you go. I'll study.
All right, well, at Willowbrook, obviously, we are, parents probably get this too, but as teachers and administrators, we are well into school year. It is not new anymore. So there's a lot that's happening at the middle school. I'd like to shout out first the band, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They did play at our fall school parade, which is back at the beginning of the month. They're also making an appearance at Honeydew Homecoming this weekend, and they've always been a lot of fun to watch, especially the last couple of years. They've really grown into a phenomenal middle school band. We have a lot of our extracurricular activities happening in addition to volleyball we just heard about. We have soccer that's playing out back right now. Our cheer and dance teams are in the midst of preparing for basketball season. We just finished basketball trials for boys. We have already started newspaper club, permaculture club, yearbook club, run club, and pet patrol. See, we have our bunnies back with us. They don't smell yet, but just wait. We'll see what that's like. It's worse. We have chickens, little chicks in here. They smell way worse than the bunnies. So it's great.
Just earthy.
Great yourself. We also have the study who's here tonight actually runs our student council crew. And so we did the process of students can get signatures from teachers and principals, and then they run for president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. They have to get signatures from students as well, but then they put together little videos. Mrs. Sadi puts them all in like a large video that students then just also watch throughout the day on a certain day and they vote. And this year there was a great turnout for students who ran. It's always kind of funny. It's kind of like sports and the flows. Calm down over there. So sometimes we get a lot of students interested and sometimes we're like begging students to participate. This year we get a lot of really awesome students who wanted to do it, who put a lot into their speeches, their posters, and their campaign, so to speak. So that's really cool to see. We ended up with a nice group. Faye Tao is our president, Bernie will say, Fulton Allenbacher is our vice president. Am I gonna mess these two up, Saudis? You're gonna have to kind of help me. Lola Monson is secretary.
Yep.
Yes, and then treasurer, sorry, I couldn't even have this.
Treasurer's Hendrick.
Treasurer is Hendrick.
He's a boy. Yes.
Remember, it's Hendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lola's secretary, just think, what's his, Hendricks?
Hendrick.
Treasurer, money, Josh, money. That's how it is in my head.
So it's also nice to see that you have, it's a whole eighth grade crew, which not to say that it's not nice to see the other grade level try for it as well. But it's nice when you have strong leaders in eighth grade. And I like to looked at it that. So, we did have our first fire drill this past week. We did a wonderful job. We tried something new where we told teachers it's coming, but I didn't tell them the day or the time. And actually, this is probably one of the smoothest that I've seen in a while, because I think when they know it's coming, they get all riled up about it. We're actually going to alarm this one off. They were quiet and actually did the building quickly and did a nice job. We'll do another one. They have us do 3 every year, so we'll do another one next month. Fire for that one. At the end of the month on September 30th, we'll have our first Wolverine work habit posting. So these are basically your character skills that teachers give scores for students in the classes that they take. So there's respect, responsibility, and perseverance. However, we did have them this year. That's called homework, the separate score. We did this because since we are a standards-based school, we found it's sometimes a struggle to get students in middle school to actually complete and do homework because they don't think it goes into like a score. And so we're trying to help get them ready for high school as much as we can. And so now there's an actual, like, it'll still be a 1, 2, 3. But there's a quantitative score for like if you complete 10 out of 10 assignments in a month, you get a 3. And if you complete 7 out of 10, you get a 2 and like that. So then we can also communicate a little bit more clearly to parents exactly what students are doing when it comes to. We talked about the bunnies on October 10th, or not October 10th, October 3rd. We actually will have our first Fleet Blue Day of the year. So for those of you who've heard about these before, some of you probably haven't, so I'll give you a little rundown. We do these quarterly. They end up being about quarterly, so 4 times a year. We focus the theme on one of our work habits. And then we also have a mental health day as well. But the day serves kind of a couple of purposes. So we do an alternative schedule. We have students focus on a particular character trait. So the first one that's coming up is responsibility. And then it also alleviates teachers for some much needed work time because of the alternative schedule. So this one coming up, for example, we have Chad Doherty from high school coming to talk to 7th and 8th graders about responsibility skills that they could practice and really hone in here at middle school before they go to high school. And then we have Mike Ryan coming back because why does Mike Ryan back? He is going to help do a little bit of responsibility, kind of knowing your surroundings and knowing what to do in the case of an emergency. So it's come up lately that for our evacuation drill, like our intruder drill, when if anything were to ever happen, our designated spot is Del Santos property, which is like through the woods over here. But we've had, staff turnover and the kids have never really been out there to see it. So he's going to come and kind of do like a fall nature walk / here's what happens in case of emergency, the direction you go, the place that you need to land, and help give staff and students an idea of where that is. So we'll do a couple lessons with responsibility as well within there throughout the day. And then the kids get to have a little bit of fun too in gym stuff there too. So we will do that day with our color run. So it's full, it's action packed, and we have a lot happening on those days. They're very busy. The color run we're excited about this year, not only because it's a lot of fun to throw color at kids, but the PFA is incentivizing students that actually if they raise, I think it's over $60 or a minimum of $60, that they will have the opportunity to slime certain staff members and principal in the middle of the field. So we're hoping, because it kind of loses its luster a little bit in middle school, that this will revamp some of their willingness to bring in money, because then they can even bring it in on the day. Like, hey, don't forget tomorrow's color run. If you bring $60, you get to slime the teacher, you get to slime something. So hopefully that will.
Do they get to pick who they slime?
I was
Because that might.
like, we get us a list of teachers and staff who volunteered, and so I sent it out. And I was like, I don't know, this might be a hard sell. And think I have at least 12 teachers plus myself who are like, why not? Why not? Why not? So I don't know exactly yet how the PSA wants to run this, but I'm assuming we'll all be out there and the kids can come up and dump it on whoever they want to.
Oh,
So that's it for me.
I think you should get the superintendent in on that too.
I mean, we might.
I think you should.
But I don't think the kids will be as excited.
Yeah.
No offense.
I'm taking.
Good with it. Mr. Carter?
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Yes, we are well underway at Prairie Hill. Just quick update, the last 48, we did end up having our Jack Story Garden dedication. It was a great event. It was a beautiful day, perfect day, like 62 degrees. I think there was probably about 100 people, more or less, that came to enjoy the new space. They heard stories that Mrs. Bauman has written a children's book, and she did read it to start the event and end the event. So we had rotating read alouds, enjoyed the space, painted rocks. They're out there in front of the seat area, drawings, chalk on the sidewalks, and we just enjoyed the space. It was a good turnout. Our back to school barbecue last Friday. We had to do a last minute cancellation. It was about 5 o'clock the day before, the Friday before Labor Day, and we had that there was no rain in the forecast. There was nothing there, and it just got everything wet. So we had to postpone, but we still had a really good turnout. There was live music this year, which seemed to get some good press. We did have a few complaints that I wasn't in a dunk tank this year. We will work on that to return the dunk tank next year. But other than that, I'm sure, whatever,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. But it worked out well because I did get to circulate a lot more this year, so it's good. Each of our grade level teams are problem solving and collaborating. It's well underway. The meetings have been going well. I've been going to most of them. Teachers are working hard to plan and deliver the instruction for where their students are at. Very proud of how hard they're working. Furthermore, we have identified our math and reading intervention groups, our students who need just a little extra boost. Mrs. Wright and Mrs. Jenkins spent the first 2 or 3 weeks assessing students, and now they are full in giving the extra instruction to help catch their tails up. So that. Our 4th graders got to experience the creek walk with Mr. Rhines. It was a really cool day.
No quit.
A quick shout out to him, Mr. and Mrs. Keller and Ms. Del Santo for clearing out that space right across the street from Prairie Hill. As somebody that's newer to the district, just seeing that physical space that close to the building, the outdoor classroom, I used to do Upham Woods as a teacher. To be that close to school physically and to have that space where you actually do feel immersed in nature is a great experience. And he did 4 1-hour-long sessions. I went to one of them, the hour flew by. Mr. Rhines puts on a show. And it is fantastic. I mean, it's lined with logs and you got log benches and it's an outdoor classroom. It was fantastic. Great response from the students and I believe the teachers. Sorry, Ms. Dominic put you on the spot, but it was a good time.
It was a great time.
It was a great time.
The kids loved it.
It was awesome. We too also had our first fire drill and it went really well. Our next fire drill will also be with the fire department next month. We will also, towards the end of next month, look for communication. We did schedule with the sheriff's department to do our lockdown secure drill with them. So I'll send out an email. I'll notify parents in the October periodical, but then I'll also send a separate email like I did last year about that procedure. I believe Mr. Sizik did bring up about our pre-K playground kind of at the cow. Was that correct? We did meet with Park and Play, which is a vendor. We did get some rendering, some pictures of some possible equipment we could put in there. So we're just kind of going back and forth and looking at cost, but it's not as cheap as I was hoping for.
Cardboard box.
So the initial, so we're looking at everything, but we're looking at a space to accommodate between 50 and 60 students. And right now, the initial rough estimate was 70. So we're just in the beginning stages of research and just looking, yeah, see, you know, I mean, just,
$70.
yeah.
To remind you how this idea was like, it's gonna be so simple. We're just gonna add it in.
We've got a lot of options, but we just wanted to get this, we just wanted to get.
Just making sure we all remember that part of the conversation.
But, you know, we're looking to have, you know, but I'm just telling you, we're starting the process of just looking to see what all the options are. So this will be not something we can just, thanks, Clint. You're doing great. Thank you. Keep working. But we're going to keep working. That's but the equipment is really nice. I do know the vendor, RPS used them, the Kinnickinnick School District used them for their, I don't know, does anybody from there remember like the wooden structure, the play world that was over there? Kids World.
Yeah.
I know.
They tore that down?
They tore it down and replaced it with some of this stuff. It was
Like the wood stuff.
Well, they had a problem with,
Splinters.
they with
Yeah,
splinters. They were
terrible.
buying stock
Yeah.
in freezers. So they did it, they had a good experience. Also, Whitman Post that was actually part of it as a community event 15 years ago. They've used this company as well. I mean, it's good equipment and but you know, we'll keep looking, just keep looking, exploring options. Thank you. So I just want to let you know that's where we're at. Yes. I'll also be kind of talking with PSA as well, just kind of gauge where they're at and maybe wanting to be a part of this process. Staffing update, we are fully staffed at the moment, at this current moment, September 24th.
What? Stop it.
But we will have some openings that we're still needing to fill, specifically some resource teachers. I did call down to NIU and ISU because we still do have a open special education teacher position. And I talked to NIU and ISU about their job fairs. NIU's won't be very fruitful because their teachers are in classes. So the goal is to maybe meet some people graduating that semester. However, ISU, I got a good feel from them. I think what ISU does is they dismiss all of their student teachers to go to this job fair. So I'm going to be attending and trying to get some candidates to maybe hire in term, some new special education.
That's when you bring the dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, I'll do what I gotta do. But as you'll see in the personnel report, we're also going to be needing a new school nurse soon as well. Jogging on is Friday. The field is ready to go. Staff is going to be parking all over the property to try to have parents be able to park in the parking lot. We're going to try to get as many people safely on property as possible. We did do an alternative parking for barbecue, and nobody parked in the neighborhood, nobody parked on the road, and very few people parked in the grass around the playground. So it's very exciting. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. So Prairie Hill, here we go. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mine's quick. They hit on pretty much everything that I talked about at DeKalb or was going to. I have a couple things for closed session, and then once we move on to building and finance, I'll give the budget presentation.
All right. So I'll move on to building and finance.
All right. Are we ready for the budget presentation?
Ready.
All right. Kristen, will you do me a favor?
Happy about.
Nope, you're
We
good.
didn't want to transition, right?
I'm waiting on it.
Upset, there you go.
Okay.
Similar to past years, just a real simple budget presentation, give you some numbers that we've come up with.
Do you have to start the budget hearing time and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I was so interested.
All right,
Secretary Anderson, I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
Time is, what are we at here?
6:09.
6:09. Okay. 25-26 budget presentation officially starting.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, so as we remember, education is the fund responsible for everything education related, including salaries, benefits, materials, staff development, and special education. As a reminder, salaries are 70-80% of the budget, so they're quite a large amount. Expected revenue 4.6 million. That comes from the tax levy, district fees, and other such things. Locally, state 3.2 million. Federal 316,000 for a total of $8,203,802. Expected expenditures, we have salary, benefits, supplies, and instruction at $5,980,640, with support services at $2,122,802 for a total of $8,103,442. A big part of that are payments to other units like the Winnebago County Special Education Cooperative and Alternative Schools. So as a reminder, and for those of you that don't know, the Winnebago Special Education Cooperative is a cooperative of 9 local districts that all work together to help provide different services to different districts within that organization. So they give us opportunities for students that might have a little different needs that we're able to help with for different programs, schooling, that sort of thing, as well as kind of some higher end professionals as far as like occupational therapists, your OT, your PT, your physical therapists, sometimes speech. We are fortunate enough that we've hired a speech for each building, so that's very exciting. So that's taking that down. But like most other things, we are budgeting for about $405,487. And we do have some other students that are going to some other schools that require a little bit more, which means typically a little bit more money or a lot more depending upon. So that's what we're budgeted at so far for education. Operations and maintenance, that comes specifically from local tax dollars. So we levied for $791,943. Expenditures, support services for $787,679. Salaries and benefits, purchase services, supplies and materials, those sorts of things. And as a reminder, that fund is responsible for maintenance, custodial salaries, benefits, supplies, and contracts involving the different buildings. When we look at debt service, that is our bond for Willowbrook. As you know, or we've talked about, that bond will be falling off, I believe, after next year. This is the highest one that we will have, and then it drops down to about, I want to say like $850,000-ish. The boards before you and before me were very aggressive in their consolidation. So this is a really big one that we have to levy for. And then I think next year is the last one at the $850,000. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the coming months about what that looks like. So that's just a money in, money out fund. Transportation expected revenue, again, the locals, the tax levy, that's $149,562. State will be reimbursing around $215,000. That's what we're expecting. Always hope for more. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll get more. For a total of $364,562. And the expected expenditure for support services for first student, who is our bus service provider for regular education and special education transportation, of around $494,200. $494,200. And I'll briefly touch on these when we get to the final slide, just to give you a little bit more perspective on where those are at. IMRF for Social Security, those are retirement benefits for our non-certified staff. Again, that's a tax levy. We levy $249,203. Benefits are $147,267. Support services for office staff, food service, O&M, operations and maintenance, for a total of $266,277. Capital projects, we don't have anything going on yet, maybe in the future, but right now we're 0 in, 0 out. What's that? All right, so
Playground.
as you can tell, the expected revenue is 0, Mr. Carter. So, we can try. We have no expenditure either. So. Working cash, we've typically levied for around $5,000 at least since I've been here, just to continue to grow that fund balance. It's a fund responsible for school district funded projects, supplies and materials. So a fund that we can use in a variety of ways within the limits of the law, obviously. And right now, no expected expenditures for that working cash fund. Torts, it's not really one that we've ever really utilized. Most of the money that we spent for education purposes come out of the education fund, but it can be used to pay for the cost of district insurance, risk management, comprehensive insurance, that sort of thing. And payments or tort judgments. Legal sometimes can go in there, but again, we typically use the education fund to pay for those sorts of things. Fire prevention and safety, 10,583. This is the fund responsible for capital improvements, health and life safety projects. We just had that redone, and we need to take a look at what that looks like for the money that we have. We're doing really well on our health and life safety projects. So we'll put the money towards that. We usually have about 10 years to get that done. So we're in really good shape there. So no need to ask for hundreds of thousands of dollars in the tax levy. So if you want to put it kind of all together, and it's a little tough to see on the screen, so I apologize, but I'll kind of go through it. The ed fund there between the revenue and expenditure, we're technically for budgeting purposes in the red at 305,127. Now there's a few reasons for this. One, when we did the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement with the teachers, this is our fourth year, I believe, in the contract. We expected to do some quote unquote deficit spending. Now we have the fund balances for it, so we knew we were going to be fund balance spending. Also within that, we have about an 18% increase in health insurance that we're looking at. I don't know what that number actually is, and probably won't till about November, December, but it was between 17.5% and 18% last year. We were able to get it down to that 17.5%, but they came back at 18%. Actually, originally they came back around 22, 23%. And they negotiated that down. So that number could be lower based upon whatever health insurance comes back. We have met with our insurance agent, and things are looking better than they were in the last year, but there's still some pretty major things out there right now. So there's that in there. There's also the paraeducator CBA, which is new money that we have as well for those salaries and benefits. And then just to give you a little bit of an idea too, for federal funding, we're about $70,000 less than we got between our title and our IDEA grants at this moment in time. Now, there are times, to be transparent at the end of the year where they may dump some money in, but it's not anything that we count on. So we're just fortunate that we're able to get that. So there's where that is right there. O&M deficits of 5,736. So we'll levy for a little bit more there when we come to the tax levy. Bonds, that's at 0. Transportation, that was by design as well. Deficit of 129,638. We had a pretty high fund balance in that fund, upwards of $500,000. So a couple of years ago, we made the decision that we're going to spend that down a little bit because there's no reason to have it in there. We can put that money in other places like education and O&M. We will bump that up just a little bit based upon our contract, so we don't drain it all the way down. And we have a healthy fund balance, but we're right on track where we want to be there. IMRF and Social Security showing as 17,074 in the red. That one can fluctuate based upon number of staff that we have. Again, that's the retirement funds there. So, we're budgeted there. I think we'll be okay, but just showing that number there. Capital projects at 0, working cash with a plus 5,191 towards 0, and then health and life safety at 10,583. So when you add those all together, it's about $441,801. Again, a lot of that will come from fund balances that were already planned for. If we get extra money from the federal, that's going to help out quite a bit. And it just gives me an idea where I need to levy for more taxes as far as like O&M and transportation. So, and unfortunately, everything's going up. We have different maintenance contracts and, always with staff, that's always going up. So that's where we are right now. Any questions, comments, concerns? It is a budget hearing, so if there's anybody in the audience that has any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free.
Is it normal to be that far in a hole?
I think when it's by design, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you make up for it? I guess I don't understand how that works.
So when it comes to like education and what we planned on when we had negotiations,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily make up for it, except for hoping that the state finally funds us at 100% or all of the federal money.
But the money has to come from somewhere. So that's what I mean, make up for it. Like you have to pay those salaries.
Correct.
You don't just get to the end of the year and be like,
No, so we've built up fund balances over the last
Okay.
10, 20 years in the millions of dollars.
gotcha. So we just take it from there.
Correct.
It's like dip into your savings.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not 100% ideal by any means, right? You want
Yeah.
to have a balanced budget, you want to be at zero. So even though it shows it's a deficit, like we have the money, we're not deficit spending by any means.
Gotcha.
Do you know roughly what the current fund balance is?
I
So we have
don't,
flat,
I don't off the top of my head.
flat, ballpark.
Yeah, I would say usually we're in the $3 to $4 million.
Okay.
Oh.
But it depends upon tax money coming in. You want to be around. So if you look at our audit, and we'll have that here in the next few months, we're typically around 215, 220 days that we could go without any money from any taxes, any state, anything, grants, right? That sort of thing. Where the comfort level typically has been in talking to other school districts is around 200 days cash on hand. So we're still in really good shape. If the state ever decided to fund us at 100%, this would never be an issue. Gotcha. But they just don't. The other option would be to ask for more tax money, raise taxes. It's not a very popular opinion to do that. So, a couple things that we talked about at the cow the other night might be viable options with the restructuring of the bond, which Bob Lewis is coming to talk about at the October cow. And the idea that's been floating around about the 1% Winnebago County sales tax. That can be used for specific things, but could help offset other things.
So is the treasury report gonna give us essentially an accurate fund balance?
Once the money is put in, yes.
Because it says 4.5 million for the total
Yeah,
as of September 19th.
yeah, there are a couple that were a little off because the money has just come in, but it hasn't been posted to our financial software.
Yep.
And that can kind of ebb and flow too. I think we talked about that a few months ago.
Yep.
So yeah, that sounds about right.
And then I was looking at it because I kind of wanted to see like a comparison to the amended budget that we looked at a few months ago. That one was negative 151,000. I'm assuming that's essentially what we ended the fiscal year with, right? Because we looked at this in June, which was right at the end of the
Yep.
fiscal year. I guess my main thought here, and I know the backstory because I've been on the board or came to meetings beforehand, like we're spending down our fund balances a little bit every year. I just am starting to wonder, like, what's it look like long-term for us? Because I think we've spent down just a little bit of our fund balances every year
Yep.
since I've kind of been coming to meetings or on the board. So what does that look like long-term? Because this one is a bigger chunk than what I've seen previously. I think.
Absolutely. That's a really good question, Justin. I've never done there are companies out there. Forecast 5 is a big one. PMA could be another one that I could tap into. Never had them come and take a look at our financials, but it's definitely something I could do. Which wouldn't be a terrible idea anyway.
Yeah. And I guess just one thing that it notes for me is some of the things that we have mentioned, like we're going to talk about potential sales tax, or what do we do when the bond falls off, or whatever that is called.
Yeah. Restructuring.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, I think those would be great help for us. I think something else that we need to keep in mind is if you look around, like there are quite a few houses that have been going up or complexes. That's tax dollars. That's how I've heard rumors of different companies coming into the area. Those if corporations come in, that'll be huge. I do think that's coming. So that's, we're with our tax dollars, what we have is what we have. But with the new money that's going to be coming in, I think that's going to be super helpful.
Those categories for each of the fund balances, so like these categories,
Yeah.
is there any restrictions or rules against being, like, are some funds just untouchable, like is education untouchable, but other ones can be swapped in and out to take?
Yeah,
access?
it's kind of a convoluted thing that I don't know that I can explain off the top of my head, but you can take funds from other funds to put into some funds, and some funds are just locked.
Just like.
Yeah.
I actually teach this class. They taught it this morning. Governmental and not-for-profit accounting. So these are all special revenue funds and general fund. Then there's debt service for the long-term debt. There's capital projects for the long-term assets. Permanent fund is the only one that can't be touched, which we don't have. So everything else we can do transfers to. We just have to get board approved.
Right. Yeah, one of the ones we've done before for sure is like if we've had a surplus in ed a few years ago, we did. And we were a little low in the O&M, you can transfer that. But, and that doesn't take a board resolution, but there are some that do. If the bonds doesn't come up exactly where it needs to be because maybe all taxes didn't get collected like they were supposed to, you might have to do a resolution to move some money from one fund to that fund. So there, you can play with a lot of them, but I'll get that to you, Jeff. I'll put it in the shared folder so everybody's aware of what that looks like. If it is, I mean, you can, there's a whole thing.
What does the state tax funding rate kind of look like now? I know we've talked about that over time where, you know, they were funding 70% of what they were supposed to. Like, has that started to creep up still? Are we still trending towards the better?
67 and went down a little bit,
Okay,
percent. So,
okay.
yeah. Good stuff.
What was
And
your question? I was typing the last one.
just curious on what the percentage of state tax funding was overall compared to what we are expecting or should be getting. And then the federal money, has that
A
been,
little lower. Well, it's 70,000 less than what we got by the end of last year. It is lower, I'd say. Let's see, we're at 60. It's around 15-ish thousand less than what we typically get at the beginning of the year.
and then the local money, we usually, whatever we request, we
Yes.
typically get within a
Yep, up
few.
that 5% threshold.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll start working on that sooner than later. You know, most of that money is education, you know, and then wherever we need to kind of divvy that up.
Is now the right time to ask about alternative options when the debt gets reissued?
So
Or is that better for a separate conversation?
yeah, I forgot you were at the cow. So I have Bob Lewis from PMA, who's one of our financial advisors that they hold on to the bond right now. So he's going to come and I would explain this to you, Jeff, but he's going to do a way better job, which is why I'm having him come. He's going to come talk about the 1% sales tax and what we can do with that, depending upon what the board wants to do, but also give a preview of some different things that we could do with the bond at the October Cal. Then the idea would be to bring him back in the spring to give a little more in-depth idea of what that looks like. So you can kind of digest some of the options, take a look at that, and then have him come back and we can figure out what that means. So we can, you know, possibly still bring some money in, give some tax relief to the taxpayers. You know, there are a lot of different things that we can do.
When are they coming?
At the October.
October, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to explain it, Jeff, but it's a lot. And he's very good at it. So I met with him last Friday.
Yeah. We deal with them too. He really brings it down to layman's terms, so he's
Yes.
really good at it.
Yeah, so a lot of handouts and all the things and any questions that you have while he's here, please feel free. And otherwise, he's great to reach out to as well. Okay, anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay, budget hearing anytime.
It's 6:28 PM. Do you not have a flash?
I do, but it's.
Taking one off.
So you have to ask for.
No, sorry.
Yep.
Skip things today. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2025-2026 budget as presented.
Motion to approve?
Seconded?
Justin, have you? All right, this is Allenbacher.
Yes.
This is Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Yes.
This is Finnegan.
Yes.
This is Eisscheid. Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Next up, education, transportation. We don't have any motions or anything to vote on, but anyone have any questions? Anything? Cal?
We talked about that advancement issue. Is that something that has been decided on, changed?
No.
Do we talk about that in closed?
Yeah, we'll talk about that soon.
And then I guess my question pertaining to the speaker is, They were asking about what's protocol, like for teams like that.
Like how many?
Yeah,
Or-
like, or is that something that's predetermined so that, or is it just up to the discretion of the coach?
I didn't even remember if there's I coach here, nobody ever told me I had to keep X amount of kids.
Mhm.
I think we always went into it with the idea of keeping the amount of players that we felt could have playing time.
Mhm.
Because then you run into the other issue where you have parents and players if they're not
Mhm.
playing. So in regards, like, do we tell any coach you have to keep 10 and you have to keep 12?
Yeah.
No, I think it depends on what they decide to run, like the offense that Betty runs, so the offense that like Mashashik might keep a couple more issues JV and there's a different, they might run 6-2 instead of 5-1, or like they might be more specialized in 8th grade year than they would be in their 7th and 6th grade year. We've never, even again, like from my history with it, like nobody's ever said you have to have X amount of days of trials at this many hours, this many opportunities. It's always kind of been a standard, like the coach sets it with guidance, you know, if they have questions, we'll ask the athletic director, like for so many years.
Mhm.
I can't say that anything this year was done differently than it had been all of the years that might be here.
Mhm.
So we have tryouts, usually they're given numbers, and then the numbers are what was posted on Facebook, let's say, or.
It's not names of kids.
So it's not names. In the past too, they posted them on certain Google classrooms, like PE would post them in their PE Google
Mhm.
classroom for teams. I think both ways have gotten flack sometimes from parents about, you know, it's like when kids are enrolled in the advanced or the regular reading class, parents all say that the kids don't know where kids are anyway. So it's kind of like the same thing with numbers,
Mhm.
like. So, we've discussed different ways of how we can do that, whether it's like Roscoe shared, I was talking to Matt Kaufman the other day, sharing if they do like envelopes at the end of tryouts, where they'll hand envelopes as they walk out of the gym. It doesn't really necessarily allow for them to like jot down full feedback for the kids who didn't make it.
Mhm.
But it does like list in the letter something that we can reach out to for that feedback. We talked about, I know Vanek this year tried doing emailing, so she had an email that went to players who made it and an email to players who didn't make it. In basketball, they told them that they were emailing the ones who made it, and they were receiving email by Saturday if they made it.
Mhm.
So playing with different ways, as far as like the number of kids
Yeah.
kept, we don't ever tell them exactly. But I would say it's usually between 10 and 12. I would say that number from when Mike coached or I coached for years. Both basketball and volleyball.
And it's pretty similar.
In each team,
Yeah.
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 JV and varsity.
It's pretty similar. I've been to every game and the teams we're playing, they're almost the exact same. It's between 10 and 12. Like you don't see teams with 15, 16 on there.
I know that Ross, and I think you 10 for volleyball at the 8th grade level. Basketball, I would say it's similar because it's about it's groups of 5, or groups of 5,
Mhm.
you know, players.
I think in total would be like 45, 50 girls tried out.
And sometimes, like, there was a year.
Volleyball had
I coached
56
volleyball
this
here
year.
That
Yeah.
I barely had enough 8th graders to make.
Yeah.
And there was one girl, that was the one year I can tell you I kept somebody who I shouldn't have kept, because you're the only one that wouldn't have made the team, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And it worked out, it ended up working out, but I do understand the challenge of getting everybody court time when you're trying to balance that too. So is it set anywhere?
Yeah.
Like, and then,
Are there-
like in the handbook, does it
Yeah.
say you will only keep X, Y, and Z?
Mhm.
No. I do feel like our coaches and our athletic directors have done their homework in what's relative, like in our surrounding nations district. There's probably, I think, 75 to 80 kids tried out for girls volleyball at the freshman level. You know, they
Yeah.
keep however many,
10 or
14 of
12,
those
yeah.
or whatever around that number. And
If they move a few up, they'll be.
Yeah.
back.
yeah, so it is in this area, unfortunately, it's also really cutthroat in sports around here, and so that's difficult. And I don't know, you know, I did meet with the Rangels, we had a long discussion. I know Clint met with them, and then I met with them again, and they met with the athletic director, and some of the ideas sound good in theory, but like I have open coaching positions now I can't fill.
Yeah.
So and I have one gym that we already have people like fighting to book all the time.
Yeah.
And so between gym time and like, I know it's great to think that people would volunteer their time, but I don't know when it really comes down to it, how consistent that would be. And I would imagine from what the conversations I've had, with other administrators, they've run into similar issues with their schools as well. I mean, they probably have a lot more girls across the rack than we could here. But again, finding the gym time, the coaching time and all of that, I think is hard. It's a hard sell. I mean, they're paid positions now, and I have at least 3 Schedule B positions open at this time. They're always, the hours aren't easy either because we end at 2:30. And so technically practice should start at 2:45. And then they play other school sport on both day sport. And so like moving the practices to a later time when somebody else can't, it's not a, so.
I just want to point out that they did talk about Harlem having 2 teams.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, I know you won't know the answer now, but I'm curious because Harlem does that as far as I know, almost across the board for all their sports, they have orange and the black. And nobody else in our conference has 2 teams. So I'm curious if the conference, whoever runs their conference, it's usually all the athletic. If they ask for that, like, could we have a blue and a white in volleyball and not basketball? Or could
so much bigger of a school district.
Right.
Oh, so much bigger. Yeah, and they have 2 gyms. I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
logistics.
the gym thing, I don't think about as being
So that the orange and black teams, that's what they call them.
Yeah.
In Harlem, I do think they alternate. So like, let's say in volleyball, when I coached it for basketball, if we were playing orange team this time, the next time we faced Harlem, it was the other
Yeah,
squad.
you're right. You don't
So
play
they're not
both
playing
teams twice.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's the same way for basketball. where we would play one team one time and one team the other.
Okay, that makes sense. So I was trying to figure out, like, for the consistency of running the conference and
Yeah.
keeping the teams organized. And, I was like, I feel like they would ask us to commit 2 teams for every sport, and maybe they
I think
wouldn't.
it's
I was just
that
curious.
each school has the ability to decide how many teams they're housing, but there's only X amount of games in the conference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the time period.
How that school decides to balance that is kind of their own.
I'm just
So-
curious if it would even, like, if the conference, if we came to them and said, hey, next year we want to do a blue and a white team for
Yeah.
volleyball, will you let us? I don't even.
And I think, ideally, right, if every school did 2 teams, then it wouldn't be an issue because you'd have that many more matches, right? Or that many more games you could play. But I think if it's only 1 school or 2 schools, then you don't necessarily have to compete against. So that's where they're alternating their playing time, which is then taking away playing time. So,
Yeah.
You're.
It doesn't get the, it's a lot of coach discretion.
Yeah.
Did you set any expectations for meeting? Like, do you think that anything's gonna change or? I didn't really say, one way or another. There was, they brought up an abundance of concerns and to sports. So I listened, I took notes, I asked questions, I gave clarification where I could. And I appreciated their feedback and apologize if they felt at any time they weren't heard, but, I guess they're like, well, would you have made volleyball grade year, 8th grade year? And I was like, now, I don't know. I was like, the sport has evolved so much, even since like I did play. The level of like the freshmen playing, I feel like is what we played at like our varsity year. So like, it's just a different world too. So I was like, I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to know, so, but probably not like without doing that. But we did, I was, we're cut across the middle school. Across the middle school, we did. So I don't, I listened and I said, I appreciate their feedback and to take it into consideration, moving forward, but I don't have a solution. That answer your question?
Policy.
Yeah. So we had our first reading last month at the regular board meeting. We have our final reading or review, chance for questions from our press updates from June or July. Very minor changes, as we noted in that first Cal meeting when we went over it. Just general word changes every once in a while, like taking out school from school board. Some references to different legislation that's applicable to the policies. Quite minor.
But a lot of
Yes, there's like 15 or so policies that we essentially had 5-year reviews on, is what really happened.
Okay. Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the final review policy of the 5-year review.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Yes.
Mrs. Finnegan.
Yes.
Mr. Shuckman.
Yeah.
Mrs. Aisha. Mrs. Anderson.
Yep.
And Mrs. Allenbacher.
Yes. Right, FOIA request.
We have 3 FOIA requests. WNIJ Public Radio wanting to know if we had any AI educational contracts. Artificial intelligence, for those who don't know what AI is. No. So, yeah, I mean, they're just reaching out for school districts. The data branch research team wanted some purchasing data, which we complied with, and then Smart Procure, which reaches out pretty much every other month, wanted some purchasing information, which we supplied. So, all pretty straightforward and one a little bit different than normal.
I think we are good to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, 2C1, as well as lawfully closed meeting minutes, 2C21.
Where it was mentioned we were discussing this, something student related, correct? Should we be looking at other matters relating to individual students, 2C10?
Yes.
Okay.
Other matters related to individuals, 2C.
I noted my exit there.
What's that? Oh,
I noted my exit preemptively.
Muffin?
So moved.
No, I can't motion. I'm asking for a
Well,
motion.
I said so moved.
Okay,
Can I get a second?
second. All right, Mrs. Allenbacher.
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha.
Yeah.
Mr. Shuckman.
Yeah.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Keller.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Finnegan.
Yes.